Tiffy Saul from East Squared. We are a impact investing firm, and we're actually neighbours to Investec. Right. So we're aware of how disruptive USAID pulling out was early 2025. I'm very interested in understanding the sustainability model for YCAP. Beyond the donors, do you guys have a framework for building out your sustainability? Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming all the way from next door. So we had some funding from the US Embassy, well, not from the USAID specifically, but US Embassy, which was also cut. It was a program that Shadi was actually running there in Mamelodi, the one she was telling you about. It was at the after-school program there at the University of Mamelodi. They had an after-school center. And they asked us to do YCAP as a customized program for them, for the schools in the area. And we did it for like 4 or 5 years. And then the funding fund came. So all of those learners were thrown out. They couldn't even go, they don't even do much at that center anymore because of it, which is really devastating because they relied on that to use the computer center, to use the library, to get programs like YCAP. So that was very sad, but luckily it wasn't our main funder because, as I said, it was a customized program. It wasn't the major donor. So we are finding it very challenging in this context, in this economy, to get funders, especially funders that are ongoing. A lot of funders say you can apply this year and then next year we don't know. Or they change their minds halfway. They tell you, yes, we want to do this big program. And then they're like, no, actually we've got to the board and they say we're doing something else. You don't fit in anymore. So it's a very difficult environment to try and operate in, especially with, the funding. Like you don't know, you can't plan years ahead because you don't know. And things change. You saw the Iran situation. I mean, things change all the time. So we are in the process of getting more diversified funding. We're getting more income generation projects. We've started selling on our website. We've got a store. And a lot of schools are actually buying. We've got those badges, YCAP 2026 badges, and everyone loves them. So that's one income generation thing. We do colour runs, where we invite people to come and do a colour run, and then they get to know who we are, and they get, obviously, to fund us through that. It's for awareness and for funding. And then we're doing events like this to actually showcase what we're doing, because the last time we did an event like this was when we turned 6. And now we're 17, so it's been a while. So we thought it's time to actually showcase what we're doing, because usually at nationals, that's where everyone's very excited, everyone wants to be, but we need something in between to show the sustainability. Because that's always the question, like the once-off thing is easy. Like you clean up the field, it's nice, tomorrow it's littering again. How do you make sure that's not the situation? So that's what this event was, to show that it's not a once-off program, it's an ongoing long-term thing. And as you can see, everyone at the panel really loves it and really wants to see it continue to thrive. So I'm thinking that with everyone in this room, even sharing this with 2 or 3 other people or other organizations who might be interested in coming on board, that would really make a big difference. With the publications that UNISA is doing, it's also going to spread awareness so they can see the impact that we're making. And then, of course, also just to individuals. It's not only companies that have to put their money where their mouth is. We've got a monthly debit order campaign. People can contribute something every month. And it's not going to cost them a lot, but it's going to go a long way. So I think that's my answer to that question. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie and say we're rolling in money. We're not. But we are a very, very lean model, and we operate in a point where we are accountable for every single cent, and we just try and maximize whatever we can. We're very resourceful.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ketsu Nguna, and Tsebiso Zakime colleague, so from next door as well. I think firstly, just want to commend the exceptional work that you and the team are doing, and I think it's really, really amazing to hear the story from the beneficiaries and the impact that it's had. The input that I wanted to give is with regards to disability, and having done extensive work in the disability inclusion space is perhaps collaborating with organizations like the National Council for People with Physical Disabilities, who've got programs across schools as well, and not just in I think, because what that does is you're partnering with an organization that specializes in that, and there's power in collaboration. I think the model that I've really advocated for, and similar to what we said today, is a collective impact framework where different stakeholders work together.
I have a quick question to our academic partners, researchers. First, I would like to understand which department does the research sit in, and can you explain the process that Empowerate and UNISA went through to build the partnership, because I think it's something that's very strong and should be replicated throughout the industry just to prove the impact. So yeah, those are my questions.
So UNISA, well, Amanda is an alumni of UNISA. So that's where it started in 2012. Amanda reached out to the Department of Communications Science at UNISA to become involved. So I can report that I'm one of the founding members at UNISA of YCAP, and then over the years, more members became involved. Aisha here joined the team in 2013. It's also a very long involvement. And then we started as an interdisciplinary project. We also had 2 other team members. You'll see some of the publications that we listed were other names than those you presented here. The Department of Health Studies, so we worked with them. And one of the team members there then retired, and the other team member became too busy. Now we have 2 new members, Antakosi, there that were presented. And Charlotte, please raise your hand. Another team member who joined us this year. So due to Amanda's involvement in UNISA as an alumna, she did our honors program. And she then also, she knew the COD at the time, and the COD then reached out to the members of the department, and I was one of them who then said, yes, I think this will be a very impact program to be involved in. And then we became a bit larger. So, but we have 4 team members in the Department of Communication Science. That's because our structure is such that we cannot take on more. So you've heard about the 4-year project that we're currently involved in, but since we've already been involved 15 years, we've done many other studies for UNISA, for YCAP Empowerweight. We did a survey among learners, so many other reports that Amanda received over the years. So moving forward, our 4-year project now ends this year, and we received ethical clearance from our institution. We cannot work with youth without having proper ethical clearance protocols in place. So that ethical clearance then lapses at the end of the year when we're done with the 4-year project. So we consulted, we also meet with Amanda, and then we asked Amanda we consult with her in terms of how should we plan the next 4 years, and Amanda tells us what she would like to see us investigate. So once we've done with the 4-year project, we are going to submit another research proposal. So we are going to look at, we are going to involve our mentor, the YCAP mentors, next year. So you'll be hearing from us, but we need ethical clearance first. And then we are going to do a longitudinal study on the skills that the learners develop before and after. So that is a study that has to be done very, very precise, keeping the same participants or respondents for the first part of the study and then moving on to the next part. So we're looking forward to taking the second part of this journey with Empowerweight. And we have Ms. Aletta Marke there from UNISA, and we will be working with her to get our project funded, because if we do the longitudinal study, we'll have to use a statistician, and that will cost us some money. So we're always very careful about not just doing research. We want to do it properly. We want it to be scientific, because we will also not be able to publish. And those of you who are familiar with academic journals, it's a very, very rigorous process that we have to go through in order to be accepted. And one of the main concerns always are, because we're working with the youth, is, did you get their consent? How did you manage the ethics? Did you even receive ethics approval? So we cannot even publish or work with the youth without having a research proposal that's scientific, that's also being evaluated not only by our department. We have a committee in the department, the Scientific Review Committee, that looks at our proposal, and then it goes to college level, the College Research and Ethics Committee, where objective people in the committee then look at the proposals. So, and I'm part of the College Research Ethics Committee at UNISA, but obviously when YCAP is involved, I'm not involved. I'm not part of that process, but it's a team that looks then at the proposal and the ethical principles. For example, if we use learners younger than 18, we need to get the parents' approval as well, and we call it assent in the research process. So we're looking forward to finalizing the 4-year project this year. Hopefully we will also generate another publication. International awareness, and we can see from the reviewers that they are very, very impressed by what YCAP has been doing. The article that Aisha reported on, the one that's now forthcoming in the Youth Journal, it's a major international journal dealing with leadership among youth. So the YCAP program is so impactful, and our results were so impactful that we succeeded in a very, very rigorous review process. So all of that publications are situated within the Department of Communication Science since this year, because previously we also worked interdisciplinary with the Department of Health Studies at UNISA before those team members left.
Asha? If I could add, when we're doing research also, when we have these partnerships, it's very important to understand the rigorousness of this process. So that means sampling has to be done very rigorously. So when we're talking of sampling, means that the types of the learners that you're involving, you need to ensure that they are representative of the entire population that you are studying. Like if you are studying alumni, we have to think of that. So all of that, and in that process also we have to ensure confidentiality, anonymity. So all those things are very, very important. So the partnership is important in that respect. And when we're talking about recruiting participants, when I talk participants, with anybody that takes part in our research, those things have to be done very, very scientifically. And if you're thinking of qualitative research, that's a different process. Quantitative research is a different process. Like Charmaine said, now we're going to do an impact study. So there again, we have to make sure the sampling is 100%. Otherwise, results are not publishable, and whatever we say is not actually generalizable to everyone. So that's why it's so important when you're having this partnership, you have to be prepared for that. You have to keep track of all of that. And while keeping track, you also have to consider anonymity and confidentiality of your participants in this process. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.